Hello Diverners, it's Mrs Whitehouse here. I hope you're all well. I hope you're going out in the sunshine when you can, and I hope you're enjoying your homeschooling, especially mums and dads. I just thought we'd have a little crafty session this afternoon, and what I've brought for you is a lovely flying fish who I think is rather super with his flexible body. So you're going to make one of these with me, and that will be a bit of fun for this afternoon. Now, what you need is some paper, and you need a square piece of paper. So you may have just a sheet of paper like this, which is not square to start off with, but you may have other papers. You may have some wrapping paper that you could use. It doesn't have to be anything that's too thick, because that wouldn't make it bend very easily. So have a look around. You might be able to find something in a magazine and take a piece of paper out of a magazine, and you have to make it square. So the easiest way to make a piece of paper this size, a rectangle, into a square, is to take the corner here, one of the corners, take it all the way across to the top, fold it down where it wants to fold, and then we have to cut along this line here, and we'll end up with a square piece of paper. So if I show you how to do that, that is your square piece of paper. And that works with any rectangle that you have. You can make it into a square piece of paper, which is sometimes a useful thing to know. So that would be my square if I was using my white sheet of paper. And you see there's a fold down the middle. So I'm not going to use that for my fish. That was just to show you how to make a square piece of paper. My piece of paper that I'm going to use is actually this piece, which is a nice stripy piece I have. So if you've got any crafters in your house that may have a nice square piece of paper that you could use, then hopefully that will be really nice for your fish. So if we turn it over, we have to make a fold down the middle of our fish. So this is fold on the diagonal. So I'm folding it like that, and then I'm going to open it up again. And this is a bit like paper plane making. If any of you have done making paper planes, we have a point there where my finger is, and we have a point there where my other finger is. And I'm going to take this so that it meets the line in the middle, and then fold it down really neatly, so it's got to go along that centre line there. If you need some help with this, I'm sure somebody will give you a hand to do it. And then we turn it round, and we do exactly the same on the other side, so that they meets, sort of makes a cornet shape, I suppose. Okay, so that's that part done. So then you open these two flaps up again and fold it back down the middle, so it was as it started. And then what you've got to do is get some scissors. I've got some nice big scissors here, but you don't have to use big scissors. And the idea is that up to about this point here, you're going to be cutting little, like a fringe. Okay, you've got your paper folded together, and you have to go up to the line that you can see there when we folded it in. So I'm going to, about every 1 centimetre in between. You don't have to be absolutely exact, but you don't want them too close together, and you don't want them too far apart. So you want them a sort of a centimetre roughly, which you could mark with a ruler if you preferred to do that. Go all the way up to that line. You don't go all the way to the end, or else it will just fall apart. So what you need to do is stop. Keep going until now, it depends on the size of your paper. You're not going to land up the same as everybody else. So I would say probably there is a good distance. So you've got to mount this at this end of things. Trial and error. You can have a go. You can make another fish. They're all going to look slightly different. Then we open that back out again, and you see now I have this sort of fringy bit in the middle. So what we have to do with that, you will need a Prittstick, or something like a Prittstick, which is easier than the white glue. It won't be so messy. And all the way along this edge here, so that's next to the fringy bit. You just leave the fringy bit alone. some glue all along there. You need quite a bit of glue because it's going to hold the whole fish together. Okay, and then fold this bit back in here and fold it right the way over so it goes onto the other side of that unfringed piece. Mums and dads, I hope this is making sense. Sometimes it doesn't. Okay, if you turn it up so that it's like that with all its fringy bits there, and if you then run your hands as far as you can without damaging your paper, just to get it to stay down, because at this point it becomes a little bit fragile. Okay, so now I have, this is my fish head, and that's the fish tail. So the fish tail is very skinny at the other end. And what you do is you push it so that this line here just goes straight down the middle and opens out the fish. Okay, so he's now opened up. So his body part is there and his head is sort of flat. It will come up again in a moment, but it's going to go flat for now, so you've got a nice fold. Okay, now what do? We need to cut a little bit of his nose away. So the easiest way to do that is if you fold that back together and just take a little roundy bit off the end. Again, it's going to be, everybody's fish is going to look different, so don't worry that it doesn't look exactly the same as perhaps someone else's. And then we can start to put the bits on, because he's going to need some fins out here, he's going to need a tail, he's going to need some eyes, and he's going to need a mouth. So what I've done is I've cut 2 circles. Where are they? Those are my 2 circles for his eyes. I've got great big eyes because he's a great big fish, and I thought he'd look rather nice with big eyes. And then we're going to put a little eye in the middle. So you can draw around the lid of something to get your eyes. You might have a cutter which cuts circles. So that's one of his eyes. That's another one. Whoops. Yours is obviously going to be neater than mine because I'm rushing. Okay, so that's his 2 eyes, and we're going to stick those obviously where his eyes go. That's number 1. So it's easier to do it when his head's flat on the table, because then it doesn't cause a problem trying to stick it down. Okay, you could put a couple of marks where his nose might be. You don't have to do that. And then we're going to make his mouth. Now his mouth is done, it goes inside. If I turn that round, it's going to go inside here. Inside that bit here. So what we do is we get another piece of paper and fold it. This is a piece of, it's A5 size paper, and for this sort of fish, but you might need a slightly smaller piece if your fish is smaller. I was going to be greedy and make a really big fish. And you're going to need to make a sort of semicircle shape. So I got a reel of sellotape. You could use a dish or a bowl or a small plate, something. And I would put my size sellotape onto the whole of this. No, I want to move it back a little bit. And I'm going to do this with a pencil, I think, first of all, in case I make a mistake. I'm going to go round my sellotape, and that gives me this sort of dome shape, which I then cut round. Okay, keep my scraps for another time. And because I want to see on this occasion it's pink, I actually want to see that part of his mouth. I fold it in the other way. So as long as this bit is the bit that you're going to see into. And then what you do is you put a little bit of glue onto the other side, well, on what's going to be the base of his mouth. So if I've got it held like that, I've got my glue on this side of things. And then I slot it in you'll see as you open up the fish, it's a bit like an aircraft, a hangar where things would go into an aircraft, and you can place your mouth inside, excuse me, I'm losing my voice, inside the fish. Okay, so when you open it up, you can see the inside of his mouth. So that sort of sits along the bottom of the fish. Now what we need, if I can find where I've put them, are little bits of card inside the mouth. I wouldn't put, where are we? Inside the mouth, I make that out of paper, make the sort of tongue, the mouth part out of paper, otherwise it makes the head too heavy. So the fins at the back, you can make those out of card, that's not a problem. So I've used an old greetings card, which is actually a nice shade of pink on the back, but any cut bits of card will do that you've got. And I've folded my piece of card in half. I've made quite a large shape of a fin on it because I have quite a large fish, but it depends on the size of your fish and depends what size fin you want. It really doesn't matter. So I folded it in half and I've drawn on it a sort of triangle, like a shark fin, I suppose, shape. And I'm going to cut along there so that that will be exactly the same as, they'll be the same on both sides. If you fold it in half and cut it once, then you land up with the same size shape and it doesn't look odd. And then I'm going to cut down the middle. Am I? Yes, I am. I'm going to cut down the middle to get to fins. Okay, so these are my two fins and they are going to sit either side of my fish's body underneath. So if I put some glue onto those, you could sellotape them, I suppose. If you're a crafter and you've got a craft taped runner, you could do that. So I'm laying him down so that he's going to sit. You can put your hand through his body and sit it like that. You've just got to be careful of these pieces that you've cut because you don't want those to be sort of ruined by sticking your hand in it too far. Okay, so try and get it symmetrical. As I say, you could use a bit of sellotape on the back. And then what you need is a tail fin. And again, I've got the same piece of colour card. And what I've done for my, it depends what shape fin you want. On my yellow fish here, I had a sort of triangle shape. I'm going to cut a sort of heart shape this time. So again, I've got a piece of pink card which I folded in the middle. It's the same colour as the same piece of card as that. And I've drawn on the folded part, I have drawn a heart shape, so half a heart in actual fact. Trim it like that and you land up with a complete heart. And then I'm going to stick that onto there. This little piece will take a little bit of time to dry, so just treat him with care. And that is where his little tail goes. Can you see that on the end? But you might want a bigger tail. You might want it sort of tail that looks more like a whale's tail or something. It doesn't really matter. It's your fish. It can be. It's not anatomically correct. It's not supposed to be. So then when you pick him up and you hold inside his mouth, his body makes this beautiful flexing shape and he's rather lovely, I think. So that is my flying fish. He hasn't got a name, but I could name him Freddy the Flying Fish. So I think he's rather cute, and I think if you did him in lots of different colours you could have him hanging from somewhere, or you can just play with him or whatever. So I hope you all enjoy making Freddy the Flying Fish, and I will see you again for another crafty make at some time. It won't be long. Stay safe, be nice to each other, keep well, keep 2 meters apart, and keep washing those hands. And obviously keep reading and keep crafting, because that's great fun and it takes some time to do it, and it's nice fun to do it. You can do it with a lot of people, or not that many people. You can just enjoy it. Okay, speak to you soon. I will see you. It's Mrs Whitehouse here. She's going to say goodbye. Okay, bye-bye.